Alright, what's going on, guys? So in the last video, I asked if you wanted to see an integration video of Combat Fury with Storyframe Work in game animation sample. So that's what we're going to do today. I have Combat Fury over here, and we've got all of our like attacks and our dodge and stuff like that. And we can interact with all of these objects from Storyframe Work. In the last video, what I showed off was how to make a cinematic using Storyframe Work. So as you can see here, the weapons are still showing in the world. And in the last video, I show you how to like hide your weapons and how to make your own cinematic using Combat Fury in Storyframe Work. But anyway, let's get started. I'm going to make a brand new project using game animation sample, and we're going to start by integrating Storyframe Work first. Okay, so I just created a new project using game animation sample 5.5. We are using 5.5 for this. What we're first going to do before we open this project up is let's open up Storyframe Work. If you do happen to get this message over here, the live link hub target doesn't exist, want to rebuild. I'm not sure what this is. You might not get it, but I'm getting this. I'm just going to click on no because it's not going to do anything. Okay, so we're in Storyframe Work over here. The first thing that we're going to do before we go and migrate this project is let's go into edit and project settings, and we want to go to collision. And as you can see, there's a trace channel here that's called SF interaction. So we just want to copy this name, and apparently the default response is on ignore. I didn't really know that. I thought it was on block this whole time. I've had it on block and I haven't had any issues. But yeah, apparently it's on ignore. So we're going to put it on ignore when we go into our project and see if that works. Anyway, let's just get out of here now, and all we need to do here is just in the content browser right click on Storyframe Work and migrate this. Click yes onto all, go to documents or whatever your project is. Mine is in my projects, in Unreal projects, and in content, and just migrate that in there. Okay, we can exit out of this project now and go into our new project. Okay, cool. The first thing that we're going to do here is go into project settings, go into collision, and we're going to add a new trace channel over here, paste that name that we copied from the other project from Storyframe Work, and let's change this to ignore, but let's just leave it on ignore for now and see if that messes anything up or anything like that. And then let's go into content browser again. Let's go into Storyframe Work, and I'm going to work in the example map that's in Storyframe Work because it's just going to be easier. Things are already set up for me. As I said, we already have like all of these interactables over here. Okay, cool. Now in world settings in game mode, what we're going to do here is just change the default pawn class to our character. So I'm guessing our character is this right here. And if we press play, it looks like everything is working, but not really. Things aren't actually working as they're supposed to be, especially with the interacting and stuff like that. We can't interact with anything, but we do have our player, and we can pretty much use everything in terms of our bag and our journal and stuff like that. So okay, cool. And we do have some errors here. Okay, cool. Back into project settings. Let's go to maps and modes. And we want to change the game instance class to SF game instance BP. And let's just see if that's going to give us any errors. No errors. Great. Now, next thing that we're going to do is back in the content browser, go to core, blueprints, example inputs, and we're going to open up SF gameplay IMC and open all of this up. And here is all of our inputs that we're going to have to change, especially when we start putting in Combat Fury. There's a lot of things that we're going to have to do here. This is going to be the longest part of the entire video, but for now, all we need to do is just change some of these to be working with the game animation sample inputs instead. So for example, jump IA, we want to look for jump, and we want to replace this with IA jump, and this is from the game animation sample. And the same thing with move, so search for move and change this for IA move. Look, I don't think it matters. Focus, I'm going to be changing up focus and change shoulders. I'm going to actually replace this with our dodge with Combat Fury, but we'll get into that later. Lean, this is for first person, so it's not really important right now. If you do want to have first person, then yeah, you can leave that on. And then cycle perspectives, this is also going to be changed. I'm going to put this into crouch instead. Yeah, so I'm not going to be working with first person in this video at all. So yeah, let's just change this to crouch, IA crouch. We don't need this crouch IA over here anymore. Yeah, that's fine. C, extra focus. I don't think we need it. Journal, pause. And there's a few more that we need. So let's quickly go back into the content browser, go to inputs and go to IMC sandbox and just see what else we need here. We need walk, sprint. We don't need traversal, and we need strafe. We don't really need aim unless if you want to have it, and we don't need interact. Okay, cool. So I'm going to just add the walk, sprint and strafe. Okay, let's go back into SF gameplay and let's add walk. And then what we can do here is let's go back into IMC sandbox and we can just copy this input over here, the left control. I guess we could have just, you know, just clicked here and then press left for control, or we can just paste it, which is better in my opinion. And let's do the same thing for sprint now as well. Sprint, copy, paste, and also strafe, which again, I'm probably won't use strafe in, you know, in my Combat Fury project, but it's all up to you guys what you want to do. And that should be good. Let's play real quick. Okay, cool. Everything's working. So we can walk, you can run. The camera perspective is a little bit off, kind of rubbish, but we still can't interact with anything. So let's quickly do all of that now. I'm just gonna exit out of all of these. We don't need to go back into there right now. Let's go into player controller and browse for SF demo player controller. Open this up. The first thing I want to do is just change the camera perspective. So go to camera manager and then go to camera settings, third person, and just change the camera distance to something like 230 maybe. That should be good. Let's play. Yeah, 230 is okay. I might make it like 250 or something, but yeah, I'm not gonna play around with this too much. 250, okay, cool. Next thing that we should do is let's go to the event graph, and we don't need this anymore, so we can just delete this. We don't need that. Compile, save. And now to make the interactions work, we need to go to interaction manager, right click and edit. And now in find results, which I think you can go here and yeah, it's right here, Windows find results. If you don't have it, just search for trace and enter, and then we should be able to find some of these trace channels over here. Yes, okay, right here. General camera interaction trace and fixed camera interaction trace. What we want to do here is just change the trace channel from traversable to SF interaction, and do the same thing over here. Open this up and change this to SF interaction. Compile, save, and that should now give us the interaction key. Cool, there you go, which is our left mouse button, which I really don't like, so I am going to change that real quick too. Let's go back to core, blueprints, example, gameplay, and I'm going to change the interaction, because we got to remember we're going to have Combat Fury into here, and with Combat Fury you want your left mouse click to be an attack and not an interaction. You want interaction to be something like the E key instead of like the right mouse button, right? You know, that's for me anyway. You might want something else. So I'm just going to change the interaction key from the left mouse button to E. Okay, focus is another one as well. I'll probably change focus to something like Q. Lean, again, I'm not going to be using first person, so lean doesn't matter for me, so I'm just going to delete it. G is fine, T is fine. E, sub interaction key E, that's fine as well. We can change that. We can leave that on E. Pause, walk, sprint, strafe. Okay, cool. So now we should be able to go up to here and press E. Yes, okay. Now, one thing that we should do is just change the icon that says the left mouse button and just change that to be E. So we can easily do that if we go to Storyframe Work and let's search for user interface, widget blueprint. So over here, click that button and search for widget blueprint. And what we want to do is go into interaction_W, and then over here in DL primary interaction input, we can just change this keyboard icon to be clear, and that will give us the E button. And for the DL secondary interaction input, I don't need it, so I'm just going to put that into hidden. And let's check that out one more time. There you go. Now we have E. Pretty cool. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it, right? That's the interaction for this project. That's pretty much it. One thing that I should change as well, actually, is let's go back into, we can exit out of all of this. Let's go back into the demo player controller, and in interaction manager, let's just change the reach from 325 to something like 500 so we can reach some of these a little bit easier. Yeah, that's way better. So we should be able to reach this now. Yeah, nice. We can pick this up, turn that on, reach that. Yeah, that's way better in my opinion. One thing as well over here, because we're strafing, we can just press a button to be unstrafing, but then it's going to be strafing like this. So one thing that you can do is just make a trigger box over here. So once you go into this trigger box, you'll be strafing, and then once you come out of it, you'll be not strafing or whatever you want, right? it's up to you at that point. That's something that you can do. It's pretty simple too. You can just make a trigger, but I'm not going to do it because I don't want this video to be any longer than it is. But yeah, just keep in mind that if you're in this area over here where it's got like that top down view, you want your character to not be strafing so you can run around better. We've pretty much done the interaction for story framework into game animation sample. Now let's move on and add Combat Fury into this project so we can integrate that as well. Okay, so now we can open up Combat Fury. All right, now in Combat Fury, if we go into edit and project settings and then go into collision, as you can see, Combat Fury also has a trace channel here called hitbox trace, and it is on default block response. So we can just copy this name too, or you can remember it if you want. Just make sure that it's capital H, capital T, and it's a block. Anyway, so I'm just going to copy that name, and all we need to do here is just migrate this into our project, which is over here somewhere. Okay, that's done. So we can exit out of this project now, and we can open up our project over here, Story Combat. So the first thing that we're going to do is go to edit, project settings, and let's go to collision, and we're going to add that new collision name, which is hitbox trace, and the default response is block. So we can accept and leave that as it is. We can exit out of here now. Okay, cool. So let's open up our default pawn class, which is the sandbox character, and let's go to Combat Fury, demo assets, third person BP, blueprints, third person character. And all we're going to do here is basically just copy everything from this blueprint into the sandbox character, just like this. I'm going to go a little bit fast in this one because I've done this so many times, and I'm sure a lot of you are already seeing me do this a million times already. If you want to see like a better video or like a whole integration video of integrating Combat Fury into game animation sample, then I'll leave a link to it in the description, or you can just go into any of my videos that say Combat Fury integration, and yeah, you'll see that better. All right, so we're just going to copy all of this stuff here from event graph. We're going to copy all of this stuff, and I'm going to make a new graph over here, CF. I'm going to paste everything in there. Back in the third person character, we also need to copy the set blocking movement, hold pressed, and can block before we move on and copy everything else. So copy set blocking movement, paste it into here, right click on is blocking, create a variable, copy the held pressed or hold pressed, paste it into there, drag out of then 0, search for retriggerable delay, paste that into there, copy that into there, sorry, or drag that into there, whatever, and then can block as well, copy that, paste that into there. Cool. Let's exit out of these tabs, go back to the third person character, hits and parries, copy this graph, paste it into there. Back in third person character, combos, copy everything, paste. Don't worry about that message, we'll come back to it in a second. Go to dodge graph, copy everything, paste. And we want to right click on forward value, create a variable, right click on right value, create a variable. And last but not least, the lock on graph, copy everything and paste. Just like this. Okay, cool. So now with the dodge and roll, I'm going to just delete this top section here because the rolling doesn't work with Combat Fury with a game animation sample. And we don't need these inputs anymore because we're going to change them and make our own inputs. So I don't need this input. And the same thing with all of these inputs here. I'll leave them as they are right now, but they're not actually going to work. We're going to have to change them to be enhanced inputs. Right here in heavy attack, we can drag out of hold pressed and put the pressed in there, then 0 in there, held time 0.2, that into there, taps into there. Copy this, go to our light attacks and finishes, paste that into there, pressed, then 0, held, and tapped. Okay, cool. Next, let's go to sandbox character self. In the details, search for tag and add a player tag, capital P, lowercase everything else, and let's go to the skeletal mesh now and open that up and go to the third person character, go to mesh and open up the skeletal mesh. And in here, we want to click on this button here, go to hide sockets and then show all sockets and then hide bones, and then Control A to select everything, Control C to copy everything, exit out of here. Go to spine 3 and paste everything into there. We can exit out of here now. And next, go to the anim class, third person anim BP. Open this up and go to the sandbox character and open up the animation BP for the sandbox character too. Go to the third person, go to the event graph. I'm sorry that I'm going fast, but as I said, if you guys want to see more clear version of integrating Combat Fury, then yeah, watch that video instead. This is just going to show you how to make it work with Storyframe Work. But yeah, just drag these two blueprints out of the way, because all we need is this right here, which is the isValid node and weapon state. And let's go to the ABP sandbox character, go to functions and create a new function here. Call it wherever you want. I'm going to call it vers for variables, and paste those nodes into there. Connect it up like this. Right click on weapon state and create a variable of it. So we have a variable there. And then in here, search for sandbox character, drag out of it, is blocking, is blocking, out of here, promote to variable. Okay. Now let's go to the event graph, and I think we can put it over here. Should be fine. Yeah. Okay. So over here, what we want to do is drag that new function that we created, paste it into there, and put it into the true, and put that into there, just like this. And that should be fine putting it there. I usually put it in the front. If we do have any issues with it, I'll come back, but this should be fine as well, putting it right there. And last but not least, go to the animation graph, animation layers, sorry, create a new animation layers, call it overlays, and then add a new input, drag out of here, search for save cache pose, call it main pose, go to the third person, go to anim graph, copy everything over here, go back, paste it all in there, and then delete the default slot, drag that into there. And for the is blockings, we need to change this to the is blocking that we created. So change both of these just like this, and then go to the anim graph, and right here in the default slot, just drag this stuff out and put the overlays in there, just like this. Put that into there, put that into there, compile, save. And last but not least, we can X out the third person character now. We don't need it anymore. Okay, if you do get this error, you shouldn't get this error, but if you do get this error, you just have to replace this parry system with this one over here. I don't know why it's saying parry system and not parry attack, but it should be fine. Just change them all up like this. Parry attack, parry attack, parry attack, parry attack. Okay, compile. And the only errors that we should be getting now is this, the move forward and move right, which we will change in a second. But yeah, for now, let's just leave it as it is. Next, let's go to the default level. And you know what? Let's just go back into Storyframe Work, go to levels and open up the example level, save everything in here, and everything should be working completely fine. All we need to do now is in player controller class, let's just change this quickly to PC easy combo buffering and search for this and then open this up. And all we need to do here is just copy all of this stuff here, exit out of here, go back to the example map in world settings and change this back to demo player controller. And let's browse to this as well and open this up and go to begin play and paste those nodes, paste those nodes into here. This custom event, we can delete that because all we need to do is just drag that into there just like this and compile, save, and let's test this out. Okay, cool. So as you can see, now Combat Fury is in here, but we can't actually do anything. Like we can't attack, we can't dodge, we can't do anything. And that is because we have to do this painful process of actually creating new inputs, new enhanced inputs. I wish Combat Fury actually had enhanced inputs because this would have made the process way easier, but it is what it is. There's nothing that we can do about it except just live with it. So what we have to do is literally just create enhanced inputs for all of these, which I'm not going to do in this video. I'm just going to show you how to do some of them, and then the rest of them are based, like this one, for example, I'll show you how to do because this one is a little bit of a pain. It's not hard though, but everything else should be pretty straightforward as soon as you start learning how to do like one of them. Okay, so let's do that. Let's go to the content browser, go to core, blueprints, enhanced input, and open up the SF gameplay IMC. Just leave this open because we're going to be coming back into here a lot. Let's go back to the content browser, go to actions, gameplay. We can just copy one of these. So for example, I can just copy this jump IA, duplicate it basically, just duplicate this. And let's name this IA attack. Okay, save and go to gameplay IMC, add a new mapping over here. The mapping is going to be attack, IA attack, and it's going to be our left mouse button. So we already changed the interaction to be E, so left mouse shouldn't be using anything else, I imagine. And then next thing that we need to do is go back into our sandbox character and search for IA attack, and then put the start into the pressed, and the complete, not cancelled, but the complete will go into the sequence. Delete this now, and let's test this out. There you go. Now we have attacking. Of course, the animations are going to be broken, yada, yada, yada. Anyone that's seen any of the integration videos for Combat Fury, you already know what to do. But otherwise, if you don't, you're just going to have to watch those integration videos. I did make one recently that shows you how to integrate everything and integrate projectiles too. So I'm not going to do that in this video. I'm not going to change any of the animations. As I said, this is just integrating. But yeah, so as you can see, we have that set up. Next, the one that's going to be a little bit more of a setup to do, we can exit out of here now, is going to be the dodge input. So we need to make a dodge input, and we also need to make a move forward and move right input too. So let's go back to the content browser and literally just duplicate this. This is fine. Duplicate this, name it move IA, move forward, open it up, and we want to change the value type from bool to float. So index 1D float. Save, and we can duplicate this now and name this one move right. Okay, save. Go to the gameplay IMC, add a new mapping over here. The mapping is going to be our move forward, IA move forward. Click this button, this arrow button, and add 2 of these. So the first one here is going to be W, and the second one is going to be S. W is moving forward, S is moving back. You guys should already know that. And then for the modifiers, for the S, add a new modifier over here, and this is going to be negate. So basically what it's doing is when we're pressing W, we're moving forward, and when we're pressing S with the negate, it's going to move us backwards. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. And then add a new mapping over here for move right, and do the exact same thing. So add 2. This one is going to be D for right, and this one's going to be A for left. And just add a modifier over here. The modifier is going to be negate. Okay. And now let's go to the sandbox character, search for move forward, I move forward, and also search for move right. Move right. And now just put the triggered into there, put the action value into there. We don't need this anymore. And do the same thing over here, that into there. And one more thing that we need to do is we need to duplicate the move forward value. Click this button to show everything. And then in completed, I think it's complete or cancelled. I can't remember. We will check it out in a second. We'll test it out and just do the same thing with move right. So duplicate this, click this button and put, I think it's complete. Put the complete into there. And let's quickly just test this out, see if everything is working. Okay, it seems like it's working and we haven't broken anything, so that's completely fine. Next, let's quickly make the dodge. So let's duplicate the jump again, jump, and name this IA dodge. Back into the gameplay IMC, add a new mapping over here. I hate that it does this, that it opens up everything. It's so annoying. But anyway, search for dodge. And this is going to be our F button, but I think F is also shoulders. So we can change this to something else. I don't know, maybe Y if we want to keep it. And then go back to sandbox character. And in here, search for dodge, IA dodge. Yep, that's right. That one right there. And for started, we'll go into there. All right, oh yeah, and one more thing, just because we don't have our tab button set up either, so we do need to set that up. I'm just gonna quickly get rid of the dodge skill event. So this is, we need to buy the dodge event before, the dodge skill before we can use it. So I'm just gonna get rid of that so we don't have to buy it. This is just for testing purposes, but yes, okay, cool. So now we can dodge as well. And we should be able to dodge in all directions without any restrictions. Fantastic. And one more thing that I want to do real quick is just add the weapon cycle so I can pick up my sword. So I'm going to duplicate this again. Weapons. I'm just going to name it weapons. That's fine. Add a new map in weapons. I guess I'll put this onto 1, I guess, because then we can like weapon 2 will be like guns or whatever it is. It doesn't matter. And then over here, let's search for IA weapons. And you want to put this always in started. In triggered, it's going to be like, how can I explain it? It's like holding it down almost. I don't know if that makes any sense or if that's completely right, but that's how it feels. Started is where you want to put it, basically, most of the time anyway. If you do get this warning, just go to parry attacks and then click this button to add the uncrouch event. Technically, we don't really need this, but you never know. You might want it, so let's do that. Compile, save. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much it. So now we should be able to like pick up our weapon, press 1 to pick up our weapon. We can attack and we can do all of that. So yeah, just gonna have to like change everything. Just make enhanced inputs out of all of these inputs over here and you should be good to go. Next thing that I want to do is just quickly do some like clean up a little bit, because as you can see, there's a few things on our screen. We have the visual 1 on the top left, we have the bag showing and stuff like that. These are things that I don't really want, and these are things that we can get rid of really easily. So go to Storyframe Work and Widget Blueprint. So as I said, you can go over here, user interface, Widget Blueprint, and then we can just easily just change these. So I think it is General Hub. You can just click on this button here, and then the visual 1, for example, we can just change this from visible to hidden. And then the same thing with everything else, really. The inventory icon, like I don't really need it. If you guys want it, then yeah, go ahead. But I personally just don't need them in my game. So I'm just going to put them as hidden. And the same thing with the journal, you know, just hidden. And the journal icon hidden. So that should be good. And you can even hide the this over here. This is the frame rate if you don't want it. So I'll just hide that as well, hidden. And we will press play. Now we have a clean screen. And yeah, one more thing that I'll probably want to do as well is kind of, this is a bit too big for me. That's what she said. So what I'm going to do is just change this to like 12, and they're going to do the same thing over here. So this. Okay, and that's better. As you can see, we have a smaller crosshair. And that's pretty much it. I know this video was slightly long. I know, 2 systems that we had to integrate. And it would have been way longer, to be honest with you, if we had to like change all of the inputs and stuff like that. But that's pretty much it. You will find some issues, especially for like projectiles and stuff like that. I can't do any projectiles right now, but the projectiles won't work for you because you need to actually add a projectile trace channel over here. Not trace channel, sorry, but collision. So in project settings, collision, and object channel. So you need to add a new object channel here called projectiles. And then you need to go into the projectiles and change that to block, and go into the enemy AI and change that to block. Some settings to do there for the projectiles. I do have a video for that. As I said, my recent integration video for Combat Fury, I do show you how to make projectiles work in game animation sample. But yeah, other than that, that's pretty much it. So now we have game animation sample with Combat Fury and Storyframe Work all in one place, basically. Hopefully you liked the video. Hopefully you learned something. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.